Christie.
How you doing?
You weren't up, Commissioner.
And just for the records, the commissioners had an earlier appointment, so that is why we are starting at 10 o'clock today. And it looks like, Christie, you're first up.
Christy Clauser, Comptroller. I have for the board an amendment for the Tyler software contract. We had originally bought 3 modules that we are not using. I tried the ACFR model and it's not ideal. The risk management model, HR has not utilized, and the e-procurement software, purchasing decided to go with a different software. So we are getting rid of that one. That should be a savings of about $16,000.
$16,000 per year?
Yes.
I have no problem with that. Anybody else?
I don't know, I struggle saving money, but fine. Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the modification as presented, or the amendment.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
That's right.
Next, we'll have a ratification of a letter. This is another savings. This is the City Works. We talked with,
Way too much money being saved today, way too much.
but Road and Bridge hold theirs also. And we needed this signed before today or yesterday, so we'd save $30,000. So we need a ratification on this signature.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we ratify the signature for the City Works contract as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to hold you off for just a second. Next, we have resolution number 2024-23, approving March 2024 salaries. Resolution number 2024-24, approving tax cancellation request. And resolution number 2024-25, approving March 2024 alcohol licenses.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve resolution 2024-23, -24, and -25 as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then we have a public hearing notice to go out. We'll have a public hearing on April 23rd for transfer of development rights.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the county public hearing notice as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, under signatures only, we have a tax cancellation request and Dust Buster's bid. Any comments on the Dust Busters?
So that is piggybacking off of the Howard County Highway District, and they just adjusted it for our transportation costs.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the tax cancellation request and authorize signature on the Dust Busters adjustment.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And under the consent agenda, we have salary rate approval form.
That's when we talked about executive session last week.
Okay. And we also have a certificate of residency and minutes for March 21st.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the consent agenda as presented and discussed.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next we have County Ordinance 2024-02, Amendment Number 67 to Zoning Ordinance Number 1998-1. This is the one that we had the public hearing on the other day. Comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to make a request that to amendment number 10, we add a sunset clause of 1 year to that section. I've spoken with legal counsel, and they do not feel that that is a material change to that, and it gives us the opportunity to come back and revisit this during the course of the year, and gives us a date to shoot for.
Okay. And I had questions. I've received a few calls on this myself. You say it's not a material change. That was my fear, is that, one, we're picking one section out of all of it to make it
Right.
a sunset date on one piece, and that concerned me. Because we're,
Well, I mean, we can argue that it's not a material change, right? But I think the cleaner way would be, instead of having it on one piece, just, well, I guess we could do a sunset date on the amended one and then look for a permanent one, or you could continue on doing the permanent one today, so.
and
It'd be cleaner if we're doing a sunset date on it, that the sunset date is for what was discussed in the public hearing and for the amendments, all in one.
Yeah, I don't think we discussed a sunset date in the public hearing.
No,
So that
that's
would
why you
be-
can have
that
the
would
discussion
be-
here.
To me, that's a significant change. I don't think it's necessary because we can always revisit any ordinance that we have in place. So I would not be in favor of now, after we've had the public hearing, all the testimony, now making a change to what's been presented. So I would be not in favor of that amendment.
okay. And like I say, that was my concern, is we made a lot of changes to this whole ordinance. And now we're picking one section to put a sunset date on. And not the whole ordinance that we make the adjustments on.
But the whole ordinance doesn't need to change or doesn't need to be potentially revisited, because the whole ordinance doesn't pertain just to that one issue.
And I know that that's what the discussion was about in the public hearing, but also, that's part of the hearing that the planning board had. And they approved everything but, and now then we come back and says, well, we want to put this back in and do the original, and now we're saying, we're making another exception to me in the way that we're trying to word it, which concerns me. And I guess that's why I'm kind of asking for legal counsel's interpretation a little bit here. How can we pick and choose certain sections of an amendment, of all the amendments that were there? These are the questions that I have, and I feel like other people would have also.
Sure. Yeah, no, looking at the, if the commission decided to do a sunset detail on the ordinance, I was anticipating it would be for what was
The whole
changed. Yes.
ordinance,
Yes.
which would be every single amendment that is in here would have a sunset date on it. So we go through here and start, Hal, come up here, please. We've worked on this for how long?
6 months.
Well, it's been longer than that for the whole ordinance, hasn't it?
6 months
6 months?
on all of these edits,
On all these
basically
edits.
6 months.
And,
Hal Jensen, Planning Director, Bannock County.
and I have concerns about piecemealing.
Well, then we do it on the whole thing. So we come back in a year and revisit it, or less than a year, which you've already stated, and John, you said this too, we can come in and change these at any time. So I'm just putting a wall.
So, yeah, to your point, I would want to, we just went through a lot of stuff because we had a deadline that was a self-imposed deadline of 6 months. I don't want to put another deadline in place that now we're coming up against, when we can have discussions on anything, as long as we want to, until we get the answers we want. So to me, it makes no sense to now put another deadline that we're going to be, for all we know, coming up against and still not be prepared. So I'd be opposed.
And as I sit here and I think about it, I mean, because I was thinking that the whole thing that we were discussing would could potentially have a sunset. That's what the commission wanted. But I know if the commission wanted to go back and amend an ordinance, they could even amend a small part of it and not the whole thing. So could there be a sunset just on a portion of it too? Possibly. I'd have to look into that more. But I was just under the impression it was going to be kind of everything that we had in front of us.
Okay, Hal?
Commission, as a point of clarification, we anticipate to finish the comprehensive plan edits and do our updates, which then drives the rewrite of the ordinance, which then, speaking to Commissioner Crowder's point, that gives us time to open those conversations. I was not here in the last meeting, but I did watch it online. And there was conversation about the fact that this does not absolutely end, but can continue conversations and bring all stakeholders to the table that in potentially come up with a solution relative to this, as opposed to just absolutely no. It does give us time, and more importantly, it gives the commission time to pull those stakeholders to the table to have conversations about what is a solution to this potential. So I would recommend at this point, if there's potential to lose all of it and bind some of our other edits, potentially in litigation, I would recommend that we move forward as originally planned. There's other things that are in those edits that are critical to the operation of my office and timeliness, et cetera. And it still gives us opportunity, speaking to Commissioner Crowder's point, that we still have time to go back and look at any ordinance at any time on what do we want to do to change it. So,
Then, Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve the ordinance before us as presented.
So we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. That brings us to Shanda.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer, and I have with me here today.
Kendall, Facilities Director.
Hal Jensen, Planning Director.
And we are here to discuss the contract negotiations with the architect for the next year. And I would ask that the Commission go into executive session so we can have this discussion.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we enter into executive session under, what's it noticed at? Idaho Code.
A?
74-206, is it consult with legal or contract negotiations?
Contract.
One's legal. So,
Kind of both.
F.